Good morning, everyone. Let's start this morning by singing together. Let's rise in all the ways that we do as we turn our minds and voices to hymn 57, 2 verses of All Beautiful, the March of Days. You may be seated. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. It is good to be together. We welcome all of you, but we especially welcome our visitors. If you are here with us either in the sanctuary or on live stream, we hope that you will feel very welcomed. While you are here, we invite you, if you're a visitor, to take a moment to go out to our welcome corner out in the courtyard after the service during coffee hour. There you can find out more information about the congregation and also sign up to receive our contact, our weekly newsletter. If you were online, you can do a similar process. You can go to the homepage and click on the banner that says Welcome Visitors and go to a special page that gives you information about the congregation. Also there, you can virtually sign the guest book and receive a link to our contact every week, as well as a link to some of our other gatherings. We hope that you'll take a few moments to get to know us better before you move on. All of you I invite to be with us in coffee hour, especially, of course, those who are present here out in the courtyard. So I hope you'll take a few moments after the service to join us out there. So now, as we move into our prelude, may we also move into a space of community and connection. Thank you, Don. We move now into our chalice lighting, and we invite you, if you are at home, to find a candle, or if you have a chalice at home. And AJ will spark our flame here with the words of Suzelle Lynch. Our community is filled with beauty. When you open the door to greet me, that's where the beauty begins. When you share with me what's important to you, beauty is there as I listen. When we join hands to practice compassion, beauty's heart blooms like a flower. When we teach about justice, beauty abounds, sparking joy in all. As we light the chalice for beauty, the beauty we seek, the beauty we share, the beauty we nurture together. So now a time for all ages with Mary Lou Keller and Shirley Goldberg.
Thank you. Come on up, Shirley. Today's lesson for our younger UUs is titled, Celebrating Our Power to Bring Beauty into the World. And who does that better than moms?
Moms have gotten a bad rap about not being as creative once they have kids. But I don't think whoever said that ever had kids. Right.
Moms are super creative. Just listen as we quote some moms or people saying things about their moms. They're bound to make you laugh, but we hope it will make you remember your own mom's creativity or the creativity that you experienced being a mom.
Babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, babies. They're more than just adorable little creatures on whom you can blame your farts.
Oh. When my kids act up in public, I like to yell, "Wait till I tell your mom," and then I pretend they're not mine.
My mother's menu consisted of 2 choices: take it or leave it.
I tucked my kids in bed and said, "I'll see you in the morning." And then we laughed and laughed and saw each other 16 times more before sunrise.
I always remind my kids that having a weird mom builds character.
If at first you don't succeed, try doing it the way your mom told you to do it from the start.
The most remarkable thing about my mother is that for 30 years she served the family leftovers. The original meal has never been found.
I love it when my kids tell me they're bored, as if the lady standing in front of a sink full of dirty dishes is where you go to get ideas for how to have a good time.
And by the way, my mother used to say only boring people are bored.
Oh, there you go.
So anyway, when I say I'm just going to the bathroom, my kids hear, "Family meeting, assemble in the bathroom now."
Like all parents, my husband and I just do the best we can and hope we've set aside enough money for the kids' therapy.
Not all who wander are lost. Some are just moms hiding from their children.
Good moms let you lick the beaters. Great moms turn them off first.
My kid just told me I'm the meanest mom in the world, and I am freaking out. I don't even have a speech prepared.
Well, I finally got 8 hours of sleep. It took me 4 days, but whatever.
Yeah, well, my kid is turning out to be exactly like me. Well played, Karma. Well played.
The hardest part of being a mom is trying to be fake mad when your kid does something bad but hilarious.
When your children are teenagers, it's important to have a dog, so at least somebody's happy when you come home.
You look tired.
Oh, well, you know, I have kids. I'm pretty sure this is just my face now. Have you ever heard of a sweat jar, by the way?
Swear?
Oh, a swear jar, a sweat jar. No, not a, yes, a swear jar. Okay. So I started a mom jar. Okay. The kids have put in $1 every time they say mom, and I'm up to 59 million. And that was just in 30 minutes.
It'd be cool if my kids could make me something I actually want, like a bottle of wine out of macaroni.
Kids would be a lot cooler if every time they shouted, Mom, it was followed by, you're awesome, and thanks for keeping me alive.
There's something really empowering about going, heck, I can do all this because I have to. That's the wonderful thing about mothers. You can because you must, and you just do it. Thanks to all the wonderful creative moms and mothers who are constantly bringing beauty into our world. Please stand as you're able to sing our next hymn. And after the song, all the young UUs, AJ is going to join me in the back of the sanctuary where we'll go to the classroom for a story.
Number 326. Let's rise in the ways we do. You may be seated. Now we move into the heart of our service in our centering. We will invite you first to center by taking in some words, then a few moments in quiet together, and then remain seated as we join in spirit of life. The centering in words is taken from the poetry of Joy Harjo, entitled The Life of Beauty. The sung blessing of creation led her into the human story. That was the first beauty. Next beauty was the sound of her mother's voice, rippling the waters beneath the drumming skin of her birthing cocoon. Next beauty, the father with kindness in his hands as he held the newborn against his breathing. Next beauty, the moon through the dark window. It was a rocking horse, a wish. There are many beauties in this age, for everything was immensely itself. Green, greener than the impossibility of green. The taste of wind after its slide through dew grass at dawn, or language running through a tangle of wordlessness in her mouth. She ate well of this beauty. And next, beauty planted itself within her mother as she beaded and pinned neatly back her hair. Do not forget all of this beauty, she was told. The story took her far away from beauty. In the tests of her living, beauty was often long from the reach of her mind and spirit. When she forgot beauty, all was brutal. But beauty always came to lift her up to stand again. When it was beautiful all around and within, she knew herself to be cornplant, moon, and sunrise. Death is beautiful, she sang, as she left this story behind her. Even her bones said time were tuned to beauty. Here ends our reading. May we take just a moment in quiet together and then join in spirit of life. As we prepare for the time of reflection in our sermon, a reading from John O'Donohue. One of the huge confusions in our times is to mistake glamour for beauty. When I think of the word beauty, some of the faces of those I love come into my mind. When I think of beauty, I also think of beautiful landscapes that I know. Then I think of acts of such lovely kindness that have been done to me by people that cared for me in bleak, unsheltered times, or when I needed to be loved and minded. I also think of those unknown people who are the real heroes for me, who you never hear about, who hold out lines on frontiers of awful want and awful situations and manage somehow to go beyond the given impoverishments and offer gifts of possibility and imagination and seeing. Here ends the reading. As we move into the time of offering, may we give thanks for those sort of gifts in our lives, the people that show us the real sources of beauty. May we each, in our own way, think about those gifts and decide how we wish to continue to make the world better and how we use our own gifts. That's the heart of what it means to give and receive. May such a spirit inspire our generosity as the offering is now given and received. Thanks, Don. So, a lot has been going on in the week or so, huh? While I was gone, I was off in Nashville with other Unitarian transition ministers, mostly interim ministers. You were in the midst of an incredibly exciting candidating week, and you voted Jay in as your new minister. And part of our task in the coming weeks is to work together to prepare to begin that dynamic relationship with Jay in a ministry of many years ahead. On this day, we honor the importance of mothers, and we remember how the original origin of this holiday honored their role in being peacemakers and workers for justice, and their compassionate insight that all of the children on this planet deserve protection and love. And we feel somehow that even though COVID has not gone away, there is this sense of beginning to learn how to live with what COVID is now that feels more like the life we used to know, at least for now. So all those things are true, and in this last week, you could barely turn on either the local or the national news and not feel a deep sense of anger and frustration at what was happening. There were times just this week I felt gutted by what I heard or read. Not only what's happening with the Supreme Court, but just the continuing work in various states to undermine basic rights, and our continued frustration and horror at what's happening in Ukraine. So as we are starting this new theme of beauty, I found myself thinking that when I've heard many sermons about beauty, good sermons, I would say, actually, that I still found myself thinking that beauty sounded rather anemic in light of the world around us. But if there is one thing that I love about thematic material, is that it invites us to lean more into the richness that is possible within the ideas that our themes point to. It asks us to think more deeply and broadly about beauty and why it may have more importance than probably any of us realize. Because as O'Donoghue pointed out in the reading, beauty is often reduced to the threadbare, the trite, the unimaginative. But in truth, almost everything that is worthy of our deepest fidelity and gives us the greatest sense of connecting with the very essence of life, all of those things often come from more meaningful experiences of beauty, more transcendent experiences of the goodness of life. As O'Donoghue wrote, I think of the acts of such lovely kindness that have been done to me by people that cared for me in bleak, unsheltered times, and when I needed to be loved and minded. And I also think of the unknown people who are the real heroes for me, who you never hear about, who hold out lines on frontiers of awful want in awful situations and manage somehow to go beyond the given impoverishments and offer gifts of possibility and imagining and seeing. Those words remind me that in this week, when I think about what may happen with the Supreme Court, when we still are frustrated about what to do about the injustice we see all around us, how there all along are people that are working and are doing the hard work, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, and we may, in our own way, by their example, find our own pathway to do the good work in this time when it is needed. And that is indeed beautiful and powerful. And this theme may help us connect with that if we allow ourselves to expand our thinking about what it means to seek beauty. I was really interested in the writing of a man named Kristen Sartwell, who is a philosopher, and he wrote a book called The 6 Names of Beauty. And as you will see in just a moment on the slide, he talks about the different words in different languages that are synonymous with beauty. But he carefully chose a variety of words that mean beautiful, but also suggest different nuances of what beauty might mean. He begins by highlighting in the English word how many times when we say beauty, we mean the object of our longing. And what he points out is that while that is true, that often the people, the places, the things that we long for, we call beautiful, part of what has always been true about those various places of longing is that they're very much in the eye of the beholder. That throughout our history, there isn't one measure of human beauty. There isn't one place alone that is found beautiful. Almost everyone has a particular place that is their favorite, that maybe no one else would see in quite the same way. We all have things that we long for in some way. And so part of beauty is the way it is steeped within our own longing and our own needs. But there's more. In Hebrew, there's the word yapha, which means not only beauty, but to glow or to bloom. And in particular, it asks us to connect with the ways that beautiful things shine and dazzle us. And especially to notice how our senses are excited by things in life, and those are beautiful in their own right, including the various ways, at least within the thinking of this word, that color in all of its range can often have deep impact on our lives, and we may take it for granted how the various ways that flowers have different hues, or even just the ways we use color within our language to suggest a certain mood, how powerful that sensual connection is. There is the Sanskrit word sundara, which reminds us that beauty may be understood as wholeness or holiness. And it emphasizes that the ways that we connect with the spiritual and transcendent in life would be especially one way of understanding beauty. In particular, those things that elicit wonder from us, or when we might otherwise feel divided, invite us to understand the unity that is actually present. There is the Greek word to kalon, that means to find the beauty in the idea or the ideal. That is the ability to appreciate the human form. That is the illumination, both literal and figurative, that we celebrate when we know something or see something with a new clarity. It can even be used for the kind of beauty that comes from the abstract wonderfulness of, like, mathematics, how in a clean, pure way it works so smoothly if we have that kind of brain. So there are already different visions of what it means to be beauty. And then the Japanese add, and you probably have heard of it, the concept of wabi-sabi, which basically celebrates the earthy and the imperfect and the humble as having a transcendent and powerful beauty if we train ourselves to understand it. And finally, in the Navajo language, hozho, which means to seek health or harmony. And this is a very comprehensive vision of beauty. The idea that the way we live the entirety of our lives and the ways that we over time learn more clearly how to seek health and wholeness and wisdom in our lives, that ongoing process is beautiful. So this list suggests that there are many ways that beauty is at work in our lives. It is beautiful to celebrate mothers and those who offer that sort of mothering energy. And think about, for each of your lives, how probably at some point there was someone who gave you that sense of how special you were when you needed it most. That noticed that you were doing something well and encouraged you to follow up on that gift. And all of the ways that male and female and whatever gender alike have practiced nurturing and helping people find their way in life. There is great beauty in that, and we celebrate that today. There is beauty in the work as a congregation of thinking about how to begin this new ministry in a few months, and what is possible as you work together over time to continue to grow and change as a congregation. But again, it doesn't take away the other truth of our lives right now. How hateful division and regressive actions from our Supreme Court and continued erosion of our democracy seem to be a daily reality that fills us with horror. Or that we notice in the weather around us and when we watch the international news, how our degradation of the planet continues so powerfully and obviously. I do find myself wondering, in the face of that, is beauty really up to the challenge of such heavy-hitting, life-changing, pathological difficulties? So I was grateful as I researched more about different ways of understanding beauty, how many people have really taken that question very seriously and helped us think about, in times where we feel very much overwhelmed by the world around us, when we honestly look at the problems we're facing, why beauty is especially essential in those moments. I turned to the writing of Christina Mittermeier and Paul Nicollet, who wrote, "Beauty has less to do with the material things around us and more to do with how we spend our time on earth. We create true beauty only when we channel our energy to achieve a higher purpose, build strong communities, and model our behaviors so that others can find inspiration to do better by each other and our planet. They conclude beauty has nothing to do with the latest makeup or fashion trends and everything to do with how we live on this planet and act to protect it. If we understand that beauty really is what might inspire us to do the hard work in front of us, to fight for justice around reproductive rights, not just out of a sense of terror, but knowing that the ability for women to have choice with their body is a beauty that we cannot give up, that we know what it has allowed for people in terms of opening up doorways in their lives that for centuries they struggle, not to mention allowing them to be safe in the midst of their own choices of their body. Or thinking, for that matter, about why community is beauty in times like these. Mary Catherine Moore wrote, "The scholar Eileen Scarry ties these two, beauty and justice, together in a wonderful way in a study entitled On Beauty and Being Just. She contends that when we are apprehended by beauty, we are changed. And we know this well. We know our breath deepens, our gaze fixes, our mind clears, and our hearts open. That is what beauty does." And she goes on to say that beauty brings us to life. It awakens us, and it should be easy, but often it is not, because beauty does more than just awaken us. It also admonishes us. It demands something. It changes us. As the poet Baron Wormser wrote, "What would happen if you heeded the admonitions of beauty?" So in this month, when we will celebrate many things, but also think about the world in which we live, how might that deeper, broader sense of beauty give us the energy in the direction we need? How might it help us awaken and see what is around us and know how to come alive in the task of working together to create, protect, and preserve? Finally, Robert McAfee Brown wrote this: "Beauty is not a moral cop-out. It leads us firmly into the midst of all that is going on in our world. Where beauty is apparent, we are to enjoy it. Where beauty is hidden, we are to unveil it. Where beauty is defaced, we are to restore it. And where there is no beauty at all, we are to create it." May that simple but powerful call help us make our way through this theme and lead us into a new time in our lives. May it be so. Amen. And I invite you to rise in all the ways that we do as we sing together our closing hymn 82. It is probably a tune that you don't know. It is beautiful. The words are beautiful and complex, but if it takes you a while to get into it, just hum along, have a sense of forgiving yourself, and listen to us as we make our way through the tune. This land of bursting sunrise, all lavender and blue, its cloud-strewn light swept darks as woe, and every day renew. To east the glow of dawning, the west the blaze of night, round all along horizon's rim, the everlasting light. This land of open vistas, life rooted deep and free, thy canyon plains, thy mountains vast, Plummer's immensity. Life's fragile balance, the sun and stars above, find hand in hand and heart to heart the everlasting love. So now as we prepare to extinguish the chalice, revisiting McAfee Brown's words, where beauty is apparent, we are to enjoy it. Where beauty is hidden, we are to unveil it. Where beauty is defaced, we are to restore it. Where there is no beauty at all, we are to create it. We may extinguish this chalice, but not the light of wisdom, not the wonder of a new idea, not the warmth of human love, not the fire of justice. Those remain in your life until we gather in this place again. We'll see you in coffee hour out in the courtyard. Thanks for joining us today.